Welcome back, Portermasters. STL Matt here with a bit of a news update. Now, I don't expect this to turn into a weekly thing like it did way back in the day, but there was enough here that I wanted to showcase and talk about that I thought it would be a good idea to make a video. Honestly, this is just going to be a Skylanders Youtooz update. In case you're new here and have no idea what I'm talking about, let's rewind a bit and catch you up. Youtooz is a company that specializes in making small batch collectibles for a large variety of franchises. The collectibles now range from vinyl figures to plush to pin sets and more. In late 2024, they announced their first collaboration or partnership or licensing deal, whatever you want to call it, with Activision for the Skylanders franchise. In doing research for this video, it was fun to see the progression of this deal over the years. Folks were already asking about Skylanders 3 years ago. You can see in this Reddit post somebody asked, "Will you be open to doing Skylanders Youtooz?" And they replied, "We're open to Skylanders. Our Activision agreement comes up for renewal later this year, so we'll be discussing other games with them." So you can see already 3 years ago, so I guess back in 2022 or so, they were already thinking about and maybe even discussing Skylanders with Activision. Someone on Reddit once again asked, "Is it possible we could get figures based off of Skylanders, either the game series or the Netflix show?" Here they simply replied, "Maybe. Definitely seen some requests for Skylanders before." Then finally, 1 year ago came the post that the Skylanders community really latched onto, and the hype began for real. It looks like the same poster who posted about it 2 years ago followed up and said, "Skylanders, please. I'd love a Roller Brawl and Mags figure." And they simply replied, "Skylanders will come out early next year." While we were originally expecting some sort of announcement in maybe January, February, March of 2025, I think they started teasing things again in April or so, and eventually we got something later in June. In June of 2025, they officially launched the first wave of Skylanders. It was 3 Skylanders plush that included Spyro, Gil Grunt, and Stealth Elf. The pre-order period lasted for about a month, then they moved on to the production phase. Now we're still waiting for these orders to be shipped, but don't worry, this is just how Youtooz works. Pre-orders are true pre-orders, and they don't start production on them until after that, and coming out of China, it takes a long time for that whole process to happen and then to get things shipped out. We expect that these first Skylanders orders will begin to ship in November of 2025, and hopefully most people should have their product by December or maybe January of 2026. I know it seems like a long time to wait for just a few figures, but like I said, that's just the Youtooz model. That's how they work. In the meantime though, the demand for Skylanders has not really gone down, and Youtooz continues to tease the community with more and more information. There's little pictures and hints and tidbits scattered across all their social media channels, and that's kind of what prompted this video. Now, I want to start out by saying I wouldn't normally report on just a few social media posts, but after following Youtooz for the past year, I understand a little bit more about how they operate. Youtooz is actually a pretty small company. I think they might even have less than 100 employees yet. Back in the day when I worked with Skylanders and Activision, they had a separate outside third-party PR firm that would deal with people like me. Youtooz, on the other hand, doesn't really put out those big press releases. They don't have an outside PR firm, and they just handle everything themselves. Now, what this also means is that their social media teams are not only well informed about what's happening in the company, but they also have access to a lot of assets that they are allowed to share with the public. My point in all of this is to say that the information coming from the Youtooz social media accounts and the Reddit AMAs that they participate in is 100% true. I view this as a replacement of the traditional press release, and therefore it's something I'm willing to report on. So what's next in line for Skylanders? Next up, we have a set of 3 vinyl figurines. It appears we'll be getting Tree Rex, Pop Fizz, and Trigger Happy. And I'm going to clarify this for you right now. No, these do not have chips in them. They will not work with the games. These are just collectible figurines. These figures aren't yet available for pre-order, but they have been teased multiple times in various locations. Trigger Happy is not a surprise, as he's the last of the original starter pack trio to be represented in any Youtooz form. Then, naturally, they moved on to Giants. T-Rex, once again, an obvious choice as he was a starter pack figure. Pop Fizz is not surprising to me either, as he often seems to be a fan favorite, even if he's not one of my favorites. Shortly after we learned about these three figures though, Youtooz, in typical fashion, dropped this little Chop Chop plush into a random Twitter comment. This would seem to imply that after the vinyl figures, we may see another round of Skylanders plush figures. Now that's what we have for pictures, but there's still some more information they shared that I want to discuss. See, Youtooz is not shy about sharing information if they are legally able to do so. In an AMA on Reddit about 3 months ago, someone asked, anything Skylanders coming after the plushies this year for Youtooz? The answer? Yes, we'll have more figures and more plushies. They want to know about Trigger Happy? Yes, a simple yes. We now know that this is going to be one of the vinyl figurines that's coming out. Is there a really high interest in Skylanders Youtooz right now? Another simple yes. Nothing really to glean from that information, just good to know that Youtooz as well acknowledges that there is a high interest in Skylanders. And then in typical Portal Master fashion, they had to ask about a new game, which I'm glad Youtooz replied to this simply by saying, that's up to Activision, we just make collectibles. That might be the shortest and the sweetest answer. I've been trying to tell people that for a long time, and they have nothing to do with the games. They're not going to make games. The sales of these figures, I even don't think are going to drive anyone to make a new game. In that same AMA, someone asked, will you consider branching out and making characters from the various roster of Skylanders gimmick groups beyond what are the biggest fan favorites? I would give anything to have Swap Force figures like Free Ranger and Doomstone. And they say, oh, for sure, we'll start out with core ones, but definitely branch out after that. Glad to see it. Glad to see that they're willing to branch out, that they want to branch out. But yes, of course, it makes sense they're going to go after the cores first. They followed up with asking about how do you choose which characters you want to do from the massive roster available, mostly just based on what requests we see, what will look good as a figure or plush, and our team's personal favorites. Now, I said Youtooz is a pretty small company already, but I think they're a fairly young company overall as well. They were founded in 2019, and I have a feeling most of the folks working there are probably in their 20s or 30s, and many of them, I'm guessing, probably did grow up with Skylanders. So there is a possibility that part of their reason for wanting to make Skylanders figures is just for their own team's enjoyment as well. Another question, is there anything fans can do to communicate what characters they want made as figures? Youtooz responded by saying, comment on any of the Skylanders tweets. We read all the comments. So there you have it. Just let them know. Whenever they post about Skylanders, comment on those posts. Let them know that you're interested. Let them know that the Skylanders community is out there. Let them know that you want to support them. Let them know what figures you want made. You never know. Next, we get into some comments that come from a more recent AMA over on Reddit. Any clues on a Skylanders Wave 2 release date? Also, will Cinder be in any Skylanders waves? They say the next launch will be in late October. That's all we can say for now. So, once again, not willing to comment on any more specifics, but late October for the next release. Finally, this last post is all about Skylanders, and it's the one that really made me want to make this video. Will the Skylanders Youtooz figures include Skylanders riding their vehicles? Not currently, but maybe in the future. Right now, we're just trying to cover as many characters as we can. I'm not surprised by this. I'm not really heartbroken by this. You know, for a lot of folks, Superchargers wasn't their favorite thing. So I don't think a lot of folks are gonna be too sad about this. I do appreciate the note that they're trying to cover as many characters as possible. I think that once again gives us hope to get more of the obscure characters, not just the starter pack figures, not just the fan favorites, not just the characters that are represented in the Netflix series, but get a few more deep dives. Could we get a Rattleshake figure? Shortcut. Those are ones that I would love to see that aren't necessarily fan favorites, a little more deep cuts that they're not. If you don't know Skylanders, you might not know these characters type of thing. And it'll be fun to see what they do. Will the Imaginators from Skylanders get Youtooz merchandise? Not initially. They mostly want us working on the core characters first, but maybe once we do more. So this response makes me question a little bit how much the Youtooz team, or at least the Youtooz social media team, knows about Skylanders. Their usage of the term core characters here makes me wonder if they are referencing the core characters as we do, as opposed to the Gimmicklanders, or if by core characters, they're simply talking about more, fan favorites, that type of thing, starter packs, fan favorites. When they say they want us focusing on, is that, the Youtooz top brass, or is that Activision kind of playing a role in saying, hey, yeah, I think we want to release the starter pack figures first and then move on to more obscure characters? Or is that just Youtooz saying, hey, no, focus on the fan favorites, the ones we know will sell first, and then we can dive deeper into the catalog? I don't know. Are there any Skylanders Eruptor merchandise in the works? Once again, they're not shy about saying it. Yep, we are working on an Eruptor. Now, they don't give us any hints necessarily as to, is it going to be a vinyl figure? Is it going to be a plush? Is it going to be a pin? Is it going to be something else? I don't know. My guess is, just from what we know so far, they like to do things in sets of 3. If you read through a lot of their comments, they even acknowledge that they like to do things in sets of 3. So we got 3 plush. We know the 3 vinyl figures that are coming out. They've hinted at one more plush, the Chop Chop that I talked about earlier. So my guess would be, if they're already working on it, we're probably looking at an Eruptor plush to go along with that Chop Chop. And then we're looking for what the third one might be there. I don't know for sure. I could be wrong, but that would be my prediction. Will the light and dark Skylanders get Youtooz merchandise? We haven't planned any yet, but likely in the future. So that's interesting as well. Now, the way I see it, it feels like they're very much progressing kind of game by game. I kind of hinted at that earlier. They started off with Spyro's Adventure, right? And the Spyro's Adventure starter pack figures. They got 2 out of 3 plus Stealth Elf in the first wave. Then with the figures, they finished off, they got trigger happy there, and then they moved on to Giants. So then, we'll slowly move on. It seems like with Chop Chop and Eruptor, we're rounding out a few more of the fan favorites from Spyro's Adventure. Maybe in the next wave or 2, we might start to see some Swap Force representation in there. So I think that's why we're not seeing any light and dark stuff yet. I think we need to make our way over to Trap Team before we get there. So it's progression that they're working through, and that's why, they haven't touched any light or dark yet. But that could be really cool, because the light and dark figures in the games were kind of underrepresented. And so, can you imagine like Spotlight and Blackout? Honestly, I think I'd like them as plush more than figurines. Like, we already have the figures, but a Spotlight and Blackout plush I think would be really cool. And then the final question that I found quite interesting. Do you have any plans for the 15th anniversary of Skylanders next year? And they simply replied, 100,000%. Now, what this means, I don't know. The fact that they are acknowledging that there is a big anniversary coming up is fantastic. But does this just mean, hey, yeah, we're going to release something maybe next October and just have another release plan to kind of coincide with that time frame? Or is it specifically, hey, we acknowledge a 15-year anniversary is coming up and we are specifically creating merchandise for the 15th anniversary? Like something, do we get either a figure or a pin or something that specifically says something about 15 years or 15th anniversary or celebrating Skylanders for 15 years, or I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, even if it's just like in the packaging of it, right? If it's another a Spyro figure and like celebrating 15 years on the box or something like that. I don't know. Anything is out there right now. Like, they can kind of do whatever they want, it feels like. But the fact that they are aware of that and seem to be thinking about that gets me excited. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens over the course of the next year. But we have a lot to look forward to. There's already a lot in the works. We're still waiting on getting our first shipment, which we should get in the next month or two. I mean, I will absolutely share them when I get them so you can see what they look like if you weren't able to get them yourselves. But stay tuned. We will be following Youtooz for a long time now, because they're the only ones really giving us Skylanders news at the moment. And they're creating new collectibles for us and keeping this franchise alive along with the rest of you.
And you. And you. And you. And you. Yeah, and especially you.
So, thanks for hanging out. Let me know what you're most excited for. Let me know what characters you want to see. And make sure you follow Youtooz and let them know what you want to see from Skylanders as well.